YouTube. Today, it's going to be the first day I'll be reading this. Today I'll be reading Ripper. Let me just read the title on the back real quick and then we'll get started. Ripper. You thought you knew him. You were dead wrong. Stefan Petruccia. Panic grips the city. There is a killer loose in New York City, and Carver Young is the only one who sees the startling connection between the recent string of murders and the most famous serial killer in history, Jack the Ripper. Time is winding down until the killer claims another victim, but Carver soon sees that, to the Ripper, this is all a game, that he may be destined to lose. And I paid $7.99 for this book, and it's a Scholastic book, and yeah. So it says Ripper, Stefan Petruccia, Scholastic Incorporated, and then it says for Shelby because he's always had that look, and then it has all the copyright stuff there, and here we go. We're starting on chapter 1, beginning on page 1. Chapter 1, May 23rd, 1895. The Lennox Library. Let me show you a secret. Elizabeth B. Riley liked the man's confidence. She usually mingled with balding walrus types or younger men who were as awkward as the monkeys in the Central Park Zoo. This one was different, wolfish. She liked the way he'd removed her from the boring herd, while silk-stocking men and fine ladies in grand hats and gowns swarmed about the high-ceilinged main hall. Here they were among overflowing bookshelves containing who knows what secrets. "Won't we be missed?" she asked. "I wouldn't want to be rude." He smiled. "By all means, don't let me lead you astray. I'm sure the party is far more interesting." Beyond the stacks, Astors, Guggenheims, Rockefellers, and other prominent families talked of this and that business culture. The veteran made the new police commissioner. Roosevelt and he would make any difference in a police force so corrupt. One could hardly distinguish it from the street gangs. "Where is your secret? Close by, I should hope, Mr. "Just downstairs. It's a bit dark, I'm afraid." "Then I shall count on you to guide me." She slipped her hand into the crook of his arm, impressed with how thick his muscles felt. He was tall, too. He led her farther from the tedious crowd, deeper into the stacks, until they reached an old door that wobbled sadly on its hinges. Beyond it lay a steep staircase. Though lit by an electric bulb, it emptied into darkness. He walked down first. Her hand was still in the crook of his arm, until they neared the bottom. Then he moved the head, vanishing. She managed the last 2 steps alone and stuck her head into a wide space thick with the smell of books. "They couldn't afford to electrify the entire building," his bodiless voice said. "Pity," she answered. She found his silhouette, watched as he twisted the valve of a rickety old gas lamp mounted in the wall. As a gentle hiss of gas emerged, he fished in his pockets. "Not for me," he said, withdrawing a safety match. I've always loathed Mr. Edison's bulbs. Too harsh." He scraped the match against the plaster wall, causing a spark, curls of smoke, and finally a small hot flower. When he touched it to the lamp, a yellow flame appeared, bobbing at the nozzle. "This is so much gentler." Rows of tomb-like shells appeared in the light. They seemed to extend forever. As the light quivered, the shadows pulsed. "Makes the dark livelier, too, like a heartbeat." Before she could think of a clever response, he led her down the central aisle. He stopped a quarter of the way down and ran his finger along the mottled spines. Worried she'd been silent for too long, she struggled for something interesting to say. "Are you in publishing? An author?" "Me? No. I've written a few letters, but that's all." He withdrew a thick book. She edged closer, feeling the warmth of his coat. "Is this your secret? Aren't you going to introduce me?" "How silly of me. Elizabeth Rowley. Meet the Crimes of Jack the Ripper, published 1891. She swallowed a nervous laugh. Oh my, talk about lurid dime novels. Isn't that the Whitechapel killer who butchered those poor women in London 7 years ago? Poor in more ways than one, he said, flipping through the pages. They lived in the worst circumstances, barely scrounging enough to eat. He never touched a wealthy woman. Of course not. He wouldn't dare. He turned to her. They didn't catch him, so it's hard to tell what he might dare, don't you think? What is it about such a horrible murderer that interests you? It's just this particular book, he said. It's terribly done, full of factual errors and grammar that would make a schoolboy blush. That's why there aren't many copies. It does, however, have the distinction of also being the only book about Saucy Jack with this. He handed it to her, open to a photographic plate. Even in the light of the distant flames, she can make out the words written in a crude hand. September 25th, 1888. Dear Boss, I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they look so clever and talk about being on the night track. That joke about leather apron gave me I think it says neat fits. I am down on whores and I shan't quit ripping them till I get buckled. Grand work the last job was. I gave the lady no time to squeeze. How can they catch me now? No time to squeal. How can they catch me now? I love my work and want to start again. You will soon hear of me with my funny little games. I saved some of the proper red stuff in a ginger beer bottle. Over the last job to write with, but it went thick like glue and I can't use it. Red ink is fit though. I hope, haha. The next job I shall clip the lady's ears off and send to the police officers just for jolly, wouldn't you? Keep this letter back till I do a bit more work, then give it out straight. My knife's so nice and sharp. I want to get to work right away, if I get a chance. Good luck. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper. I'd read about this, but never saw the actual note, she said. He took the book back. Not many here have. This is the only copy someone in New York could easily get a hold of without contacting Scotland Yard in London. With a sharp snatch, he tore the page out and slipped it into his pocket. Now there are none. Her eyes went wide. The destruction was daring, but he must have his reasons. As he slipped the book back into place, her mind searched for an explanation. Are you in law enforcement, mister? Depends on what laws you're referring to. I follow my own. A glint turned her head down to the side. His hand now held a long, sharp knife, its silver mixing with the gaslight's yellow. But by the time Elizabeth B. Rowley looked back up, his right hand was at her throat. Any sound she might have made, any objection she might have raised, was stifled by his grip. He lifted steadily until first the heels and the balls of her feet no longer touched the floor. And please, let's not get all tangled up in formalities, he said. Call me Jack. If you want to hear Chapter 2 of Ripper, look for my next video.